and welcome to Down the Shed. So in this video I've decided we will try and make a simple circuit up and replicate the one we've just done on the 50-in-1 electronic playground. So we'll just put this rising clamp onto the board. So this is just a basic through hole kind of experimental board. Make your own kits or your own circuits up. He's lost his blue tack. There it is. So we'll pin this down and solder he on. So this will be our power in. And underneath, once we solder this to the board, we'll solder a couple of wires on. So we can possibly get one or two different circuits on here. And just desolder the cables as necessary to where we need the power. So the iron is warm. So that's one pin. That's two pins. So that's the rising clamp power connector on. So in the circuit there was a 100 ohm connected to the LED, but we're not going to go there because we don't really need to. So I'll dig out a random LED out of this bag of, well, this tub of parts. So what we got, there's a 5mm, that's probably a colour changer. If it is, that will take the 9 bolts anyway. Yeah, it is. Right, so we'll go with a little 3mm, I think this is a white one. And it's blue. Okay, so we'll put this little blue 3mm on. We'll go across two holes there. So let's pop that in there like that. We'll leave it above the board a bit. I like that. So let's just pin that into place. Remembering that the long leg is your positive, so our leg going through the H terminal is our positive. Okay, so we've got FGH, so this has got A to T on there, so H, remember, is our positive, so let's just get the LED onto the board. There we go. So we won't snip those too short because we can solder off them when I find the snips. So we'll just keep a little bit of length on there, like that. Although we can just solder off the solder joints anyway. I'm going to put a bit more on this one. There we go. So that's the LED on board. If we do need a bit more length on there, we can just solder in and push through. You can see the solder does flood through quite nicely. So we've now got our power input and our LED on board. So to complete the circuit for this one, we can either just go with the resistor or a switch as well. Pretty little bugger to put on, I tell you. That's looking good. So let's turn the board. There we go, all four legs are poking through. Happy days. So we'll solder that into place. And remember, we only need like top or bottom two legs to make the connection, the circuit. I need this light back on actually. There we go. Just remember the solder will dribble through these holes. And that's on. So all we need now is a resistor, so we just have to choose a size of resistor. So here we have a blue LED with a forward voltage of 2.78 volts. So we'll connect this up to a 9-volt battery and see what happens. I don't know whether you caught that, I'll kill another one. So I'm going to connect this blue 5mm LED with a 2.78 forward voltage. Try a different one. Let's try something else. Try one of these diffused red LEDs. So let's see what happens. It won't even light up. Right, let's try this red LED. There we go, it flicked and it went out. Oh, hang on, we've got more. So there's not really any light in that LED. We've kind of blown it. You see it just flickers. And let's find a button cell to test it on. He says. As you can see, there's minimal amount of LED light in there now. So if we test that next to a standard red one and then show you what happened with the... So that's the difference. We basically killed the LED, putting 9-volt through it. So what we'll try and do now is we'll test another one. And we'll try it through this little, I can't remember how many, I think it's, so I've now got a resistor in line. And as you can see, we have LED without blowing it. And that's going through a 3-volt battery, so let's try it through the 9-volt. So this will be a 9-volt battery. And as you can see, we can light the LED without killing it through that resistor. Let's put those two back. Right, so let's check what size this resistor was. Let's get rid of that. So what we got there, 460, basically a 470 ohm resistor, 460.8. So we'll put that on our board as part of our circuit. Is this one dead or alive? That's the alive one. We are going to be using a 9-volt in the circuit, so basically all of our projects on the board are 9-volt, so we'll replicate everything with 9-volt. So we want to place this onto our board, so we'll go, actually we'll go here below the battery. So there's our 470 ohm resistor. We're going to need a little blob of blue tack on there. So let's solder that on. So that's our components anyway. So we've got our power source, our switch, our LED and our resistor. So literally all we need to do now do now is connect those via. So snip these off. So if we follow experiment number 1 in the 15.1 project kit, we need to wire. So we'll go with plus being the closest terminal to the resistor. So that'll be this one. So we'll basically make a little, we won't use cable on this one, we'll put some solder on here and we'll try and make a little path. So that's resistor. Okay, so what I'm going to try and do is put some solder in the middle of this one and then connect those two like that, connect these two as in so. Okay, so we now have a little line of solder going from the resistor and we need to connect that up to the plus. Like so. But it will do. So at the moment that's what we're looking at. So that's our resistor on this side soldered into the terminal here. So the other side of the resistor needs to go to the plus of the LED, which is H, because F has got the flat side, which is minus. So F can go straight to the other side of the battery. All these connections use a lot of solder. They're not as easy as they look to do. So that's basically the negative side of the battery connected to the LED. Got a little blob in between those two to connect these two up. There we go. So that's the negative wired up to the negative of the LED. So now what we need to do is connect the LED to the switch. We'll connect the resistor to the switch. So I've got the negative going to the negative of the LED. The LED wants to go to the switch. The switch wants to go to the resistor goes back to the battery. So we'll try that. So basically we need to make this last connection here, going from the switch to the resistor. And now when we put 9 volts through here, we should be able to light the LED up. So let's crack on with a 9 volt source. Okay, so here's our little circuit. So just to run through it, we've wired the positive into the resistor. The resistor has gone across to the switch. The switch has gone into the LED. The LED has gone back to the power. So we've got power, LED, LED switch, switch, resistor, resistor, power, which should give us our little circuit. So let's press the button. And there we have it. So we're now lighting a 2-ish volt LED on a 9 volt battery with a resistor through it. So that's our first basic little circuit, but for the time being, project number 1 on the Elenco 50-in-1 has been replicated like so. Okay, so what I've done is I've cut the board down with a hacksaw. So there's the old bit, so we can use that for something else. And basically we have our little circuit all separated now. And that's a 9 volt battery going through a 2.75 volt LED. But yeah, that's project number 1 of the Elenco 50-in-1 electronic playground or laboratory. So thanks for watching the video, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and I'll see you with the next exciting project on Down the Shed.